Hello friends, my name is Nagendra Sahu and I graduated from IIT Kanpur in 2017. I scored AIR-70 in GATE 2019 in Chemical Engineering department, and today I am here to share my experience of how I prepared for the exam. And so I would like to start with the pattern of the exam this year I faced. So this year the paper was a bit tricky. Some of the questions were very easy, and the other questions were very tricky. Some questions were easy, but the calculation was lengthy. So they were actually checking the decision making quality, because you had to leave some questions even after attempting them half. So it was, and some of the questions were actually tough. So you had to leave. So some students faced that the question paper was very lengthy. So in this way we can say the question paper was tricky. Otherwise, the questions were not that tough. Now, there were enough questions that could be attempted if you could attempt them with proper accuracy. So my strategy was very simple. I was strong in aptitude, so I used to start the paper from the beginning itself, from the aptitude part, and this I got to know from uh, the test series and all. So you definitely need to give the test, uh, mock test and all. So there you get to know how you have to attempt the exam, in which part you are strong and in which part you are not. So it's very important to give the test. And then I went sequence wise. Then for 1 mark questions, and I used to save at least 1.5 hour for the 2 marks questions. And in this way I completed the question paper. So I didn't find that the time was less. I got to know that there were some questions which I could not solve in the given time. So then now I would like to discuss about how I prepared for the exam. So I joined EII in July batch. So at that time is proper time. I mean, it's not too early and too late, and it's always better to join as early as possible. So if you will join early, you will get enough time for revision in the end. So I got 2 months for revision. That was sufficient. So I used to come to the coaching, and Pradeep sir was guiding me, and he was our faculty, and he taught me very well, and his notes were more than sufficient. And I didn't have any need to look for the books. So I would suggest every student that notes are more than sufficient, and you are here in coaching only because you didn't want to waste your time in the books and all. So and in 6 to 7 months you will, if you have revised enough, you will never feel that you don't have enough knowledge. In the exam you will always feel that you made some silly mistakes and all. So and that can be improved by giving more and more tests. So I think notes are more than sufficient. Revise them as much as possible, and then solve the numericals. At least you should solve the gate previous year questions 3 to 4 times. It's very important. Then only you can actually manipulate the questions. uh, because in the exam, questions are not repeated, but the concepts are repeated. And if you are able to manipulate them, the previous year questions, then you will not find any difficulty in the exam. And then the scoring in the exam always depends on the speed and accuracy that you have, and those 3 hours, which are very important. So in this way, I prepared, and then I had at least solved the questions 3 times, and uh, then my syllabus got over in November end. So December and January, 2 months I got for revision. So that 2 months are that is very crucial time, and you have to utilize it very properly. So I started subject wise revision and started giving tests subject wise. So there you get to know the mistakes that you are making, and in the subject, in which subjects you are weak, in which subject you are strong. So that's very good for checking speed and accuracy also. So first, in the December month, I gave all the subject wise tests and revised once the whole syllabus. And then in the January time, I started full length test, and in the time slot which was allotted me for the GATE exam, and that is very important. You have to take it very seriously, and very sincerely you have to give that exam, and you have to analyze. Analysis is very important, because I used to take at least 1 hour you should give for analysis, and write down the mistakes. It's very important to write down. Psychologically it affects. You start making a less number of mistakes if you write down your mistakes. That is what I felt. So I used to write down mistakes. So I used to take at least 1 hour in the analysis, and there only I get to know that whether I should attempt 2 marks questions first, or first mark 1 mark questions, how much time I should devote to 1 mark questions. So these things you get to know from the tests only. So give as many tests as possible, and give them very sincerely. That's very important. Even if you are giving like 15 tests, and if you are giving them very sincerely, then it is sufficient. So, and if you are giving so many tests and not taking them seriously, then it's none, of no use. So, so give test very sincerely and analyze. Last year, I had got 482 rank, and I realized that I had not prepared very well. I didn't solve the questions enough number of times. I knew my mistakes, so I knew that I can do better. So this year I got 70 rank, and the whole credit goes to Pradeep sir and the AII coaching. I was very lucky that I joined this coaching, and got the proper environment that is actually required for every GATE aspirant. And the AIE management was also very cooperative. Whenever I faced any difficulty, or in any subject, if I was feeling less confident in some subject, they allowed me to attend the classes even twice, so that they were very cooperative. So I would like to suggest that any if you are willing to prepare, you must for GATE Chemical Engineering, you must join AIE coaching. And thank you once again. Thank you very much.